The next topic we are going to discuss is how to avoid substituting one part of speech for another part of speech. And this problem is something that I do commonly see in scientific writing. And some examples of this problem are using nouns as adjectives, using nouns as verbs, and using adjectives as nouns. Now this probably doesn't make sense until we talk about some examples. So let's get into some examples here. The first example is not correct because it's using a noun as an adjective. This says, chromatin-bound protein fractions were extracted from mitotic arrested HeLa cells and used for immunoprecipitation. So the phrase mitotic arrested, it's written as if it is an adjective, but it's not a proper adjective. So mitotic is describing cells that are going through mitosis. And just saying arrested HeLa cells is incomplete. So what we need to do here to correct this sentence is say, chromatin-bound protein fractions were extracted from cells arrested in the mitotic cycle and used for immunoprecipitation. The second example we see here is using a noun as an adverb. The sentence that's not correct says, the vectors were purified and were Sanger sequenced to identify the specific cRNA inserts, correct cloning. So Sanger sequenced is not correct because Sanger is not an adverb. Sequenced is a verb and it needs an adverb to modify it. Sanger is not an adverb, it's a noun. So what we need to do is say the vectors were purified and were sequenced using the Sanger method to identify the specific cRNA inserts, correct cloning. So here are a couple of examples where I'm suggesting that you make the writing a little bit longer so that it's correct. Here's another example. This time the sentence is using an adjective as a noun. It says, with respect to who an immature observes, it has been suggested that among socially learning mammals, and specifically among primates, individuals go through three main phases of social learning. Immature is an adjective. It's describing the state of being of some noun. It's not a noun by itself, so it shouldn't be used as a noun. The same with individuals. Individual is an adjective describing some noun. So we have an individual pipetter, we have an individual plant, an individual animal, but we don't have individuals. I know you'll hear it used that way a lot, but it's not the correct way to use the word. What we should do is say, with respect to who an immature primate observes, it has been suggested that among socially learning mammals, and specifically among primates, individual animals go through three main phases of social learning. So that adjective needs a noun to go with it, and not to use the adjective as a noun by itself. Here's another example where the authors are using a noun as a verb. The sentence says, blasting SSR marker sequences against the reference genome showed that they are spread across 8 of 11 chromosomes. So for any of you that have done any work in molecular biology, you know that a blast search is a common step in a procedure of trying to find out more information about a DNA or an RNA sequence. But BLAST is an acronym, Basic Local Alignment Search Tool. It's a noun. So in the lab, we'll talk to each other and say, I'm going to blast this sequence. But that is jargon, right? That is colloquial lab slang. So we shouldn't use it as a verb. We should say blast search results of SSR marker sequences.